Okay, just wanted to make sure we're ready to go. It looks like we have a quorum, so we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order in our usual fashion. Welcome to the City Council meeting of July 27th, 2021 here in Yelm, Washington. If you'd all join me in our salute to the flag, find a flag near you, or look at the screen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And so we will have the clerk do the roll call, please.
Councilmember James Blair.
Here.
Councilmember Molly Carmody.
Molly Carmody called into the City Hall prior to 5 o'clock this evening, so she is an excused absence.
Councilmember EJ Curry.
Councilmember EJ Curry called in before 5 o'clock this evening. She may try to call by phone, but otherwise is an excused absence.
Councilmember Holly Smith. Here. Councilmember Tracy Wood.
Here.
Councilmember Joe DePinto.
Here.
Councilmember Terry Kaminsky.
Here.
Mayor J.W. Foster.
Here. Thank you, Kathy. Folks, we're going to go ahead with the agenda approval, but we can just go ahead with the agenda approval.
I move we approve tonight's agenda. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right. Rather than just amend the agenda, I would just tell you that we're moving on to the special presentations section, but due to a request from Councilmember Carmody, who really wanted to be present during this presentation, even though it was ready to go, we are going to pull that presentation and bring it forward to a study session so that the council member who is most interested in participating in that discussion can be present. So you have it in your, we can send out the materials that were created for it, but you can see that coming up on the study session instead of tonight. We have some members of the public today, but I don't see anybody signed up for public comment. I'll have Brianna help me with that. Brianna, do you see anybody there for public comment? Want to say hi to Debbie and Frank and Josh and Kim and Tim. Thank you for coming into the meeting tonight. And we have nobody in chamber, so we'll go ahead and say that we don't have one signed up for public comment. So that takes us right along to the consent agenda, which has the minutes from July 13th and the June financials.
Amir, there is someone in the chat saying I didn't know I needed to sign up. Frank.
I'm sorry, say again, please.
Frank, I'm sorry, I'm butchering it. Damanio. Yep.
Okay.
Says I didn't know I need to sign up. So I'm not sure if he wants to speak or not.
That's fine. I will promote Frank to panelist and allow him to speak. And Frank, you've got 3 minutes to talk to council on anything that you'd like to. So Frank, you should be able to start talking. Here we go.
Oh, good. There we go. I'm here for one simple reason. I saw on the agenda that discussion was happening regarding fireworks in the area. I simply wanted to say that although I have trouble with them, I'm going to acknowledge that that trouble is my trouble, not someone else's. So I wouldn't want my issues to affect somebody else's fun. I don't think it's fair to put my troubles or my burdens on somebody else. So I simply wanted to say that I think the fireworks are not a problem whatsoever. And that's coming from somebody who has issues hearing them. And that's really all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Frank, for coming in and speaking, and that's a, thank you, Councilmember DePino, for catching that. That's a good thing to remember. We'll tell the attendees in the future that they can use the Q&A box to raise their hand, so to speak, so if they have a question. I see a comment from Councilmember Blair.
Thank you. Frank, I just wanted to reply to you. I'm in the same boat as you as far as I don't think there should be a ban, but the discussion is about an advisory vote. And what that is it's going to give everyone within the city their voice to be able to say whether they think there should be one or should not be one. The vote doesn't necessarily, it's not binding. It's basic, but it's a way for everyone in the city to be able to tell all of us which way they think it should go. And if the majority of town doesn't want the ban, then it's a pretty clear statement and it puts the issue to rest, in my opinion.
Okay.
All right.
Does that mean that I really don't have to hang around for any other aspects of this?
You don't.
Oh, awesome.
Like your opinion was noted by all of council. We appreciate you taking the time to come in. You can, please stick around if you'd like to see the rest of the meeting. It doesn't look like it's going to be a very long one, but you're always welcome.
All right. Well, okay. Hang for.
I'm going to put you back in the attendee list, though. Thanks again, Frank. He's faster than me on that keystroke. Thank you, Brianna. All right, then, council, what you have still before you is the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I see what you did there. We are consent agenda passed. And so we'll move right along to new business, A, which is this is a housekeeping thing, more or less, that Stephanie Dice will present to you about investment in the government investment pool. Stephanie?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I can't seem to get my video to work, but on page 132 of your agenda packet, we have the agenda item summary for the local government investment pool. And actually the city has been investing with the pool since 2000. And so what you have before you is just a housekeeping item authorizing individuals within the city to invest funds. And so in the past, the resolution had actually named a staff person, and the resolution that is at the LGIP right now has a name of a former finance director. And so what they're suggesting to us is that we do this resolution and we put in the position titles. So it'll be the position of the finance director and the city administrator would be authorized to do the investing with the local government investment pool. So that is what this resolution is doing tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
A question from Councilmember Wood.
I'm curious, you mentioned that in the resolution, you'd like to put in the name of the finance director and the city administrator. I assume that's our present financial director and city administrator?
Yes.
Okay, so, I'm curious if we could avoid this problem in the future and maybe leave it as a generic, our financial director and our city or our city administrator. Therefore, as that position changes over the next forever.
I'm sorry. So that's what this resolution is doing. We're just putting the titles of those two positions in it. So you're absolutely right. Not only if you have staff changeover, but also if one of us is off for whatever reason, the other one can step in and do the business. So
well, I move we approve resolution number 619, allowing the finance director and or city administrator to invest excess funds in the LGIP.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Kaminsky. Any other questions? Councilmember Blair.
just to clarify, this is something we already do. We're just changing the wording on some documentation.
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay. No other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think that was everybody, but any opposed? Okay. Thank you, Stephanie, for catching that and fixing it for the future.
Thank you.
All right, that moves us on to new business B, which is Resolution 620 authorizing an advisory vote on the discharge of fireworks. This was brought forward by Councilmember DePinto, so I'll let him lead the discussion here.
Thank you, Mayor. And yeah, so, we've gotten a lot of folks through email, through social media, asking for a ban, asking us not to enact a ban. This would give, as Councilmember Blair said earlier, a voice to the people in that determining whether or not as an advisory vote, so it wouldn't be binding, but it would provide on the November 2nd, 2021 general election, an advisory proposition asking whether qualified voters in the city of Yelm would pass an ordinance prohibiting the discharge of all fireworks at all times within the Yelm city limits. It just gives a voice to the people. It gives the city council an ability to go ahead and either enact what the people want or go against what the people want. It's very rare that we do have an advisory vote. I believe this is I've never seen one in my history here since the early 90s. Maybe someone else has that I'm dismissing, but this would be something that would be definitely in my opinion, a step in the right direction for the city of Yelm to enhance the democratic process. I understand they elect us to do their bidding and represent them, but sometimes on close decisions like this, on highly contested, I guess, subjects like this, we could ask for the opinions on voters, and I think we should. We do have, it does cost, the downfall of this, it does cost money. $4,500 in this election is what the Thurston County Auditor's Office sent back to me. But the good news is we have budgeted for this, and we do, the city council did approve in the last budget, I believe it's $6,000, and Michael, please correct me if I'm wrong, to do something like this, to propose, to make a proposition to the people. And so I would recommend a yes vote on this, not necessarily that I want a yes vote on the actual proposition personally, but I think the people should have a voice in this. And as representatives of the people, it would behoove us to listen to them and know what they want. And that's just my thoughts on it. And please feel free to give the city yours.
Councilmember Blair.
So like I said earlier, I'm not really in favor of it, but I think this like Councilmember DePinto was saying, this gives everyone in the city a chance to weigh in on it. From conversations that I've had, my feeling is that most people don't actually want one. And like I said before, if that is the results that come from it, then it kind of settles the debate, and it's not so much like we're just making the decision, it's all of us together. So I'm fine with doing it, the advisory vote.
Councilmember Wood.
I understand it's going to cost $4,500 to put this on the ballot. And as Councilmember DePinto mentioned, there's I believe it's $6,100 budgeted for this type of thing. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michael or Stephanie, but is that the same fund that we would pay for all of our election activity, including our primaries as well as our general election positions that are up?
That's correct.
Okay, and does that cost the city anything for those activities?
So if we look back in history, in 2019, it cost the city approximately $7,700 for whatever election was going on during that time period. So it's a common practice for cities to put a placeholder in this line item every year because you just don't know what elections are gonna come up. So
So are you saying that in 2019, when we didn't have a primary and there were no other things that the city decided to put on the ballot, it was a bill for $7,100? Is that accurate?
so I wasn't here in 2019, but we did spend $7,700 on election cost in 2019.
Okay, is there, has any of the council, I guess this question would be for Michael, has any of the council submitted any sort of resolution or anything in reference to banning fireworks?
No, we don't have any proposals submitted. And then to piggyback on the question that you were asking earlier, the council has set aside money every year for elections, and then it was increased during this additional biennium for additional costs and expenditures that may come up.
Which is in a total of $6,100 for this election cycle, is that correct?
I think it's 6,000.
Or
Yes.
6,000. I'm curious if it would, it just seems like we were spending money on a question to ask the community, and I certainly am not opposed to finding out what our community is interested in doing. However, I think that it would be irresponsible of us to not exercise other potential routes. For example, each of our community members receives a water bill, which would be real simple and a lot more cost effective, I believe, to ask a question in this type of reference. And I think there are other options available as well. In a situation where we have all these primaries this year, is all this election turnout, which is fantastic that there's this much interest. I just don't think it'd be as responsible for us to spend this money that ultimately it sounds like we're going to need for the cost of our election anyway. And I would urge a no vote on this spending of this funding.
Any Councilmember DePino?
Thank you, Mayor. I get it. It is a cost, that $4,500. And I don't believe it is frivolous, though. I think there are benefits of this, hearing what the people want and enacting what the people want. However, I do get that it is a lot of money, that $4,500, as Councilmember Wood did mention. Councilmember Wood also voted, like the other council members, to pass the last budget, which included $20,000 for a council retreat that some might also say would be considered frivolous spending as well. So for $20,000 for us to go on a vacation not a vacation, but a retreat somewhere, spending the night, having good food and all that, versus $4,500 to hear what the people want, I think it's well worth that $4,500.
Councilmember Wood? Then
I just think for perspective, I think the citizens should know we in fact did not go on a retreat. We decided against it.
Councilmember Kaminsky?
To Tracy's point, I'm just wondering, is there a way to get a feel for what the community really wants, as in, say, put a place on the city website and in the next 30 days, make your point known? Do you think the city should do this, where there's time to still do it with the advisory vote? Just to get an idea, how important is this subject? I'm kind of on the fence with it, but in general, I don't agree with interventions that don't need to be there. So,
I believe we have a lot of options that we have left to exercise prior.
Point of order, please raise your hand.
Point of order, Councilmember DePinto, let me run the meeting. You have a point?
Yes, that people need to raise their hands and be recognized before they start talking.
You had your hand up prior to Councilmember Wood. Do you have a question or a point you'd like to make concerning the discussion that we're having?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Kaminsky mentioned about the timing of it, and it is unfortunately due to the election coming up, the primary. That's when the due date is, and so there has been a lot of discussion, as I'm sure many folks have seen on this council, social media wise, and some of her through our emails, regarding whether or not we should be able to enact even an emergency ban. And an emergency ban just like this would take a year in advance to do. So my thinking is, and plus the $4,500 right now, it's only that inexpensive because it's on a bigger general budget. If this was something on a special election, let's say in February, where this is the only thing that the city of Yelm would put up, it would cost closer to $20,000 to put the same ballot, same issue, on the same ballot, but in a special election, if we were the only ones. So this is the most affordable option for the city to understand what the folks want here in the city of Yelm. And yeah, there's a lot of people that said on both sides of the fence. There's a lot of people vocal that they want a fireworks ban here in Yelm. I think the dry season and how unhistorically dry it was this year, as well as the fire that happened in the middle of our town, there were a lot of people that wanted to ban fireworks. And, I'm not personally in that camp, but I do believe that we should hear them out. And if they do, and so I'd vote against it personally. But if the people were to vote for it, it's a man of the people. I support that vote and honor the will of the people.
I'm going to go in the order of Councilmember Blair, Kaminsky, Wood, and Smith. That's how I saw the hands go up. So James.
So just to I think it was Councilmember Wood and Kaminsky brought up, like, are there different ways of trying to figure out how people feel about it? The idea of throwing it in the water, in the water bills, looking for responses, throwing it up on the website, looking for responses. Those are great ideas. The only flaw I see with that is there's no guarantee that those responses are from people that live within the city. And this is something that would only affect the people that live within the city. So that's where me personally in this specific issue is that's who we want the responses from, is those that live within the city limits, and where they're feeling at is regarding whether this should or should not happen. I think we spend a lot of money on much less necessary things. That $4,500 isn't really, especially like Councilmember DePinto said, if we did this on its own special election, it'd be 20 grand or more. The 4,500 isn't, it is a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of our budget, it's not. And if we can put this, like the way that I see it going down, if we can put this issue to bed and stop having this argument over and over and over every year, it's worth the $4,500 to do it, in my opinion. Yeah, like it'd be great to send it out in the water bills, or it'd be great to do Facebook posts and all that. But like I said, we have no guarantee that those responses are people in the city. That's where I'm at on it.
Councilmember Kaminsky.
The water bills only do go to people in the city, so that is one way that would work. And my question is, if we do make a ban, do we have the resources to go ahead and enforce this ban?
Thank you for the clarification on that. Those city water bills only go to city residents, who would also be the voters. Councilmember Wood.
I'm curious about how many. I know that in my email, I've received 2 emails from the citizens about in reference to the discussion of fireworks and the banning of them. Michael, have I missed any emails from residents that were discussing this with us via email?
I don't have access to your email account, Councilmember Wood, but we have not received.
I'm sorry, I'm saying that it's been sent via the city.
No, I think there's been just a small handful that have come in from constituents, and I honestly don't remember what side of the coin they were on.
Okay, thank you.
See you, James, but I'm going to go with Councilmember Smith first.
I just wanted to clarify, you said the budget was 6,000 and this would be 4,500 of that, correct? Is that what I understood?
Yes.
Somebody, thank you. The other thing, I do like the water bill thing, except for people like me. I do live in the city, but I'm on auto pay and I'm paperless, so I would never see it. So just kind of wanted to throw that out there. I think it's a good idea, but hopefully it would work.
Okay, Councilmember Blair and then Councilmember Pinham.
I'll pass.
Councilmember Pinham.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, while there was only just a handful from the fireworks, actually there were more than just two. If you look prior to July 4th, there was probably about half a dozen or so that at least I received. And I think most of those were to all city council members as well. But, you know, emails can be somewhat antiquated as well as a form of communication. And I know that, you know, it's something that the city is kind of switching to with social media. But on the Yelm Community Watch page, it was posted on there and there was 174 comments on that issue. A lot for, a lot against. But this is a topic that is of concern for the city of Yelm. Absolutely. There's people that are concerned about this.
Councilmember Wood and Kaminsky.
I think James, Councilmember Blair brought up a good point in his reference to the website and people making their voices heard on that. I think we're going to run across the same concern, if not even more so, with social media. People will need to go out of their way to go to the City of Yelm website to express themselves. Where social media, it is if you're tuned into whatever Facebook page it might be, or whatever form of social media that is sending you information and activity. You know, you don't have to live within the City of Yelm to be involved in those discussions or to share your opinion. So I think we have a concern on both sides of that. Where if we use as the example, the water bill, or as we've seen how people in this community will turn out for a subject they're interested in if we have a town hall meeting. I know none of us have forgotten how the homelessness task force situation turned out as far as turnout to our town hall meeting. So I think we're once again, and this is all I'll say on this, is I think we're missing an opportunity to do this without the expense.
I think I'm over at Councilmember Kaminsky now, and then James.
I just wanted to point out, nobody answered my question. Do we have the resources? If there's a ban, what would that look like if we did see fireworks when we weren't supposed to? Who's going to take care of that? Can we do it?
If you're asking me that question, I can respond on behalf of Chief Stansel, who I asked that very question of.
Okay.
And his answer is no. Presently, we don't have the resources to enforce a ban like that. In fact, he had a suggestion that he could go into some further depth with you on at a study session or whenever, that he thinks any kind of an effort to reduce the time during which people could discharge fireworks, or et cetera, would best be done over a period of years, slowly bringing those hours closer together, which would give his officers time to respond to those and get people in the mindset that they're not supposed to do it. But presently, he says they don't have the resources to do that.
Thank you.
I think we're to Councilmember Blair and then Councilmember DePino.
Thank you. Sorry, I lost my train of thought earlier. I wanted to respond. Councilmember Wood, you brought up that about only a couple people emailing or a small handful. From what I've learned, like talking with the state reps and such like that, a lot of people, they don't email the official channels. And typically when you do get emails, that's representative of a much larger population that actually probably feels either way. So for instance, like typically we don't get any contact on most of the agendas. So sorry, excuse me, dogs. So typically, if we do start getting 4, 5, 6 people emailing on something, that is typically representative of a lot more people being interested in it. That's at least how it was explained to me. Now, as far as like for the advisory vote, for me, it's minimal cost, and on no matter whether we do it sending out through water bills or do a town hall, however we go about this, there's a cost to it one way or another. And with this, it's guaranteed that it's people within the city of Yelm. It's very people that vote that, and generally, if you're someone that votes, then you're someone that cares about what's actually going on. And that way we get the opinion of those people. And like I said before, I think it's going to put this issue to rest and we can move on to more important things.
All right. Councilmember DePino, were you in queue still? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Very well said, Councilmember Blair. I agree 100%. The other thing I just want to make clear, this isn't a vote to ban or not ban fireworks. This is an advisory vote. This is the vote to let the people tell us how they feel on this issue, whether they want to ban fireworks or not. Whether we can or can't, all those issues will be up in the pro and the con side of this vote here. Well, there'll be an opportunity for the people for it to say, this is why we should have a ban. There'll be a area for the people against it, say, this is why we shouldn't have a ban. That's what this vote's for. It's for the people of Yelm to tell the city council members and the mayor and the city staff, this is what we want in our city government.
Okay. I don't see any of the hands raised. I would suggest that the council members take a moment to look at the resolution as it was presented in your packet and be sure that you're good with the language on how it's presented. And if you have any further questions about that resolution before you take your vote. Councilmember Pino.
Thank you, Mayor. And due to what you said here, I just want to make sure that folks know this is almost word for word for what the city of Ording did. And their, I believe it was 2019 or 2017 when they asked the voters what they thought and asked for their opinion and made their decision after that. So this just models their resolution.
Councilmember Blair.
I'm probably going to mess up the wording here, but I am going to move that we authorize this advisory vote to be placed on the November 2021 general election.
Second.
Any further discussion? Councilmember Kaminsky, then Wood.
I still say the people that do not want fireworks are probably not out there doing any fireworks every year. So the people that do them are the ones that want them. And even if we go through the advisory vote and everybody bans the fireworks, how are we going to take care of that? Any idea what happened in Ording that you can help us with? I mean, that would be a whole nother group of problems.
Before we get into cross discussion on that, I'd like to hear what the other council members have to add to that, and then we can do that further. So Councilmember Wood.
Honestly, I was curious what the outcome was with Ording's situation as well.
There we go. And James, was that pretty much the gist of your? Okay, so Joe, do you have information on that?
Sure. It was rejected by the voters with a little over 60% of the vote. And the city council decided not to enact a fireworks ban due to that proposition.
Okay. Well, there you go, council. Your action on this would simply move this to an advisory vote on the November ballot. And if you read the resolution, it's a non-binding vote and it doesn't keep the future councils from taking different actions in the future. That's what's before you. There's a motion and a second on the floor. My tally. So in reference to the question before you, Councilmember Blair, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember, I got to look up here to see where I am on this. Councilmember Wood.
Nay.
Say again.
Nay.
Hey, thank you. Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
I voted aye already.
I knew I would mess this up by looking here. Councilmember Kaminsky.
Oh, I'm on the fence, but I'll vote aye.
Aye. And Councilmember DePino.
Aye.
All right. It is a majority of not just the members present, but a majority of the council as a whole. Therefore, it is passed. And Councilmember DePino, would you please work with City Administrator Graham to make sure that the proper documentation is submitted on time to the auditor's office so we can get that on the ballot?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good. This takes us back to our agenda. That was all of our new business. We have no old business. And so, Mr. Graham, if you'll give us some department updates, please.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council. Councilmember DePino, before we pivot and go into department updates, do you want to talk just briefly about next steps, just so folks know the path forward and timing of things?
Sure. So prior to our next meeting, I believe we will have to do a special meeting under our right before our next study session to approve the yes and no votes, or no, excuse me, the pro and cons committees. If someone wishes to be part of that committee, I believe just either send a message to the mayor, or the city administrator, council, whoever, and then you should be able to attend our next meeting on Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday on the 3rd. And what that would do is, you know, I'll be happy to lead the con side of it to vote against this advisory vote. And I'm sure there might be a council member that would be on the other side as well. So what you would need to do is come prepared to meet, to chat on that day. And then within 2 days on the 5th by 4 o'clock is when the statements would be due for the ballot, or excuse me, for the pamphlet. And that would be either we'd have a con, we'd have a pro, both statements. And then a few days later, I believe I'm just saying this from memory here, so don't quote me too much. I believe, and please, Michael, correct me if I'm wrong here, on the 8th or the 9th is when the rebuttal would be, sorry, I think it's the 10th. Michael, is it the 10th the rebuttal would be due?
I'm pulling it up now. I think
Okay.
I think the key takeaway for folks listening is, for you, council, you're going to have a special meeting where you can actually take action and appoint the pro and the con committee. And for everyone that's viewing and watching at home, or that you may talk to, council, that may have an interest one way or the other, they're going to have to solicit their names, and probably just best to go to the council page and send an email to the whole council and just say, I'm interested in serving on one committee or the other. And we'll put out some communications on the website and on social media about this opportunity as well. But council, you will have to have a special meeting to take action on this, so that the people that are interested can both be appointed by you and then have enough time to hit the time frame laid out in the auditor's requirements to actually create both those statements that Councilmember DePino was talking about. So stay tuned for more information on social media and the website, but you will have a special meeting, and there will be a rush to put together those committees so that they can take action in a timely manner.
And Michael, I'll reach out to you tomorrow morning to do what I can to help.
Sounds good. Thank you, Councilmember DePino. Thank you, Mayor. I just have 3 updates for you all. The first is, we all care about and appreciate the hard work of our law enforcement officers here. And as many of you know, there's been a lot of changes in Washington State law enforcement. They went into effect on July 25th. We've noticed a decrease in our call volume that's been happening lately, and we anticipate that decrease in call volume will continue to happen, just because there's a lot of people talking, a lot of uncertainty that is out there. It's still early in the transition of the application and interpretation of these laws that were passed by the Washington State Legislature, but there is a decrease in radio activity throughout the county. We don't know if folks are reluctant to call in because they don't know what the police can or will respond to now. And also there's officers that are pulling back on self-initiated activity for various reasons due to some of the uncertainty of the new laws. So there's a lot of work that's being done by attorneys in different jurisdictions to put a finer point on this. And frankly, it'll be interesting to see what the long-term effects are as we continue this process. But we all appreciate the work of our law enforcement officers, and they have had significant training. They've asked a lot of questions. They've had Q&A sessions over the last month in preparation of this to help prepare for some of the confusion and make sure that there's a clarity of the response. We're also working hand in glove with the sheriff's office and other regional law enforcement entities to make sure that all the regional partners are providing a consistency in our service in tandem as everyone works together to interpret and apply these new laws. So the chief can provide more information on the specifics of this. I know it's a topic that has been greatly discussed in the Public Safety Committee, but just wanted to bring this to all of your attention, council and the community, that this is going to be an ever evolving process, but with the training and the consistency and the communication of our officers and our police department and the collaboration that we have with others, we're going to eventually find a new normal. But just bear with us. If you need help, call 911, and we will make sure that we are responsive to all the emergencies that are most critical as the new laws and parameters are interpreted and assessed. A couple other things just on the parks side of the house. We've had a lot of improvements that have been being made to Cochran Park. There has been a delay in the completion of all the work that is happening there, and that's largely because of a back order of electrical equipment for the new bathrooms and some other things that are happening. But the bottom line is it will be completed in August or early September. And so we're really excited to have Cochran Park back open again. It'll be another place to have many events and gatherings like we've been having lately here. As you know, the community center and Yelm City Park has just been packed with special events. We've had the barbecue rally, the Mermaid Fest, we got the farmers market. We're going to have the jazz festival and Prairie Days. It's awesome. I just want to give a shout out to our public works department, public services department. As part of our culture of continuous improvement, they've instituted something we've recently started since I got here, which was an after action review. Just sit down. The military does this all the time. Sit down. What was supposed to happen? What did happen? And how can we do better? And so Cody and his team are sitting down with every partner that is putting on these events, and they're just doing the same thing. What happened? How did it go? How can we do it better? At the end of those events, Cody's going to come back and talk with you, council, and just share what some of the key takeaways were and what the plan and the path forward is for next year. So if you've attended those events and you have any feedback, feel free to email Cody, email Bree, email me, but just, send us a message, let us know your thoughts, but just stay tuned for a after action review on all the events that we've been happening in Yelm, which just continue to keep getting better and better. The last thing I want to leave you with is just an update on the boards and commission vacancies. This is something that we've just started doing to keep you informed, and most importantly, the public that's watching and paying attention to this, of volunteer opportunities for them to help raise their hand and be a positive difference in the community by, lending their time and their talents. So we have 5 positions that are vacant. There's 3 on the Tree Advisory Board. There's 1 on the Historic Preservation Commission and 1 on the Parks Committee. So if anyone's interested, applications are all there on our website. We encourage people to download those, submit them. It's real easy to do online. They can do it from the comfort of their own home. Send it in, and we'll bring it before you, council, and walk through that process that has been new and improved thanks to Kathy and her team's work. So anyway, that's the update from me. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thanks, Michael. I'm sorry that Council Member Curry wasn't here to see that brief, concise report.
I only give those when she's gone.
I will go on to council members now. So we'll start with Council Member Blair.
I don't have any tonight. According to email, public safety was canceled.
Okay, Council Member Smith.
My steady, which is I always have to read it. South Thurston Economic Development Initiative was canceled. Public safety was canceled. I did attend the barbecue rally. It was wonderful.
Good work, Council Member. Council Member Wood.
Not to sound like I'm repeating anybody, but public safety was canceled today due to a scheduling conflict, and that's my report.
Seeing a trend develop here. Councilmember DePino.
Meetings were canceled, but I already reported on them earlier this month. So the only thing to echo Councilmember Smith was attended the barbecue rally. I've never seen Yelm so busy. How many cars there were. It was nuts how many cars there were. We need to do something about that in the future. But great job as I think it was you, Council, or Mayor, or maybe it was Michael that said about the Public Works staff. They did a great job. Want to give out a particular shout out to Tim, who's one of our recent hires, not too recent, but a little bit, doing a great job for the city of Yelm. And I just want to say kudos to him on all the work that he did this weekend.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Kaminsky.
Well, I attended the finance committee meeting to just get the information that Stephanie gave us tonight. And Thirst and Thrives was canceled. The Nisqually River Council, we had a lot of speakers, but mostly we talked about the FEMA review of the Nisqually River and the shorelines. So that was a good discussion. I too attended the Mermaid Festival, the barbecue rally, the Chamber Lunch Awards. I've been enjoying the Olympic Games in my spare time, but I wanted to give a shout out. I don't know the gentleman's name, but the superintendent that looked after the bathrooms at the barbecue rally, he was working at top speed, but he was so friendly and smiling and entertaining everybody as they were standing in line, doing his job, working furiously. So other than there's not enough bathrooms for an event like that, he did a great job. So it was all good.
Thank you. I'm going to echo that. And the only thing, every event that happens, the event organizers learn things as they go. Barbecue Rally realized that people were staying for a long time to enjoy the rally. And so there was a higher need for bathroom facilities than there might have been at some of the other events where people come and go more quickly. And so they took a note that they will have plenty of porta potties available for next year's barbecue rally. Interesting, by contrast, the Mermaid Festival the week before, which had a similar number of people come through the park, the bathroom facilities were never overloaded. So it depends again. And I know the Jazz in the Park event, where again, families are staying for longer, we do have more porta potties put out there for that purpose. But the point is too, that our parks personnel, along with the volunteers for the organizations, took great care of our park. A big shout out to Tony Reese and his team for keeping the park looking as good as it does. Tony was worried that all of these people tromping on his big green grass was going to kill it, but he's got the water turned back onto it. He thinks it's going to come back just fine and be ready for the next event. That stuff just doesn't happen on its own. These folks really enjoy their work and take great pride in it, and it shows every day. So that is, everybody else said everything that I wanted to say tonight. So that takes us to the end of our meeting, and I would look for that coveted motion.
Move to adjourn.
Got it first.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, staff. See you next time.
Take care, everyone.